Hey, that is kind of retro, isn't it? We're live.
I actually, the more I experience your intro, the more I like it.
Yeah, I kind of like it a lot. I don't know. Brain Bug. God, thanks, Brain Bug. That was great. It's great. I don't know. Anyway, so how are you doing?
I'm good. Nothing
Yeah.
new.
Tired?
No, I took a nap.
I did not get a nap.
So you're tired.
I'm gonna try coffee. That might work. Coffee might work. Let's see. Oh my God, I'm blurry. Holy shit. I mean, that's not good. I don't know what's wrong with this microphone, or I mean, camera. It's supposed to be a good camera, but it is not a good camera. I keep losing myself. And if I do that, and then whoosh, nope. Do that. Try again, you dumb kid. Oh, there we go. Now I'm focused. Okay. So anyway, what should we discuss? Did you look at that morality thing that I did? That little video? The one you commented on? Oh, I think you're muted. Yeah, you're muted. You muted yourself.
My bad. Yeah, I saw the video. I mean, I think that we can address the. You want to contend my approach, right? And so maybe
I'm not contending your approach. I thought you were contending mine. So
well, no, in terms of how anything is framed. Like if we have a problem in understanding the world, you want to say my approach is different from how you approach it, right? But
right.
I want to understand what you meant by that.
I think we have a different approach in that, for one thing, and I think this will help a little bit. Well, first of all, I want to tell you now. You at some point you said that I'm not using words the way other philosophers use them, and I agree totally with that because I got a little list of things that I differ with a lot of people on. Number one, and this is out of left field, but I don't believe that we dream in the way that people think that we dream. I don't believe in the unconscious. I don't believe in the given, that you actually have access to what you're conscious of in the moment. I don't believe in the subjective objective dichotomy. I don't believe in the unconscious mind. I think I said that. And I believe that that mind is not in the brain, but it's in the brain, body, and the world all at once. And I have a kind of a way of diagramming that, which is really raw. And I meant to work on it for many years, but never did. It's called, people have called it ribbons and bows, but it's basically a ribbon type view of the world. And then I think where we get off base is I have this GEV thing.
GE what?
GEV, God's eye view. And I take it from a purely naturalistic approach. And I think that is where we tend to get off on different. Let me try to share my screen here. We come at it from very different angles, and we use very different terminology. And I've over the years looked at a lot of different approaches to philosophy of ethics and epistemology and the mind in particular, and I've never been quite happy with any of it. Why is application? Okay, application window. So I become disenchanted with philosophy, and I think I become disenchanted. So somewhere with Quine and Putnam and Frege, and where they never seemed to get anywhere. They were like, you read it and it's like, okay, this guy's got this theory, and then this guy says, oh no, that theory sucks, and this is why, and then they come back again with another one, and somebody else comes up with another one. it just concerned me. So I started with this GEV framing of the world, where I see the entire world as natural. Basically, I'll call it natural. And what I mean by that is I see everything in terms of physics and chemistry on a Cartesian plane, right? So I look at space-time and I try to define everything naturally. So I will try to render everything as chemistry and physics, that sort of thing. And so far, I haven't found anything that I can't render that way, at least in principle. Certainly not in practice. So anyway, like you got an atom here and you got an atom there, right? And they have a relationship. So I do everything kind of. So it almost seems like extreme reduction, but I do not believe in reductionism. So I push back on that too. I'm saying that there are many layers, hierarchical layers above basically this physical and chemical process. And, you got your physics here and your chemistry here. And then from there, you got neuroscience, and then you go above that, and and eventually we get up to where we're speaking to each other, with our language, where we're communicating as humans. So when I try to derive something, I kind of start around here, usually with neuroscience, and I try to move upward, and I call it, adjunct. So I say that anything you come up with in language, like right or wrong, I would call adjunct, an add-on that we have to construct it from these layers below. At the same time, keeping in mind that there's a bit of dynamicism to these layers, and that there is feedback from the top down and from the bottom up. So you can't really expect to, in practice, reduce everything to neuroscience or to chemistry or to physics because of these multiple layers. So you end up talking a little bit higher. So I think that's kind of where I usually come from. And I never really get far enough to even explain that much usually. So thank you for listening. Anyway, so that's how I do it. So, rather than fight about ethics, we could try to do this Fodor natural selection thing. Do you know anything about Fodor's theory of language?
No, I don't.
Okay. Because he had him and Chomsky. Well, Chomsky, I think, was the one with, or is it Fodor that had language of thought? I think it was Fodor. One of them did a lot of pushback.
Yeah. So I have to be careful because Chomsky and Fodor were both into linguistics.
Yeah.
And I want to differentiate linguistics and philosophy of language. But because linguistics works with sort of the mechanics of language, like syntax stuff. Whereas philosophy of language, I mean, syntax is very important as well, but it's not like they're not trying to figure out syntax so much as meaning. But so when you're asked a question, Speed, like if I asked you what color socks am I wearing, and you said I don't know.
Okay.
And I said, well, you're a logical fool. You're an idiot, right? How can you not know? Right. What if I were to say that? Well, that it seems nonsensical because that sort of question can only be answered if you were to have evidence. If you were to look into the world in some kind of way, whether that be listening to the sound of my voice, saying that I have black socks, or are you actually looking at my sock, right?
Yeah, you got white socks on.
No, I have black socks on, but yeah. So, but you see, if you believed that I had white socks because the most common kind of sock is white, you're not a logical fool for being wrong, right? No one would be.
Okay.
But there are other issues that are not like that. For instance, if I said that that John is a bachelor, but also believed that he was married, there's a logical issue there, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's analytic.
Yeah, it's analytic, right? And so that is the sorts of the criticisms that I give only go as far as that, right? I don't dispute any kind of empirical matter, right? So what the philosopher, at least there's different traditions of philosophy. The most common one in Western philosophy is called analytic philosophy.
Yeah. What? How would you flesh that out, or how would we explain that to the viewers? And
Yeah. So there are. That's a good question. So there's like different methods of how to approach issues. Okay. Um, Now, the most common tradition or methodology in philosophy currently is a sect called analytic philosophy. Analytic meaning of meaning, right? So the sort of methodology today, the most predominant one is an approach where we analyze the meanings of terms or analyze concepts, right? But there are other traditions like the continental tradition, which is a lot of think of like West Germany, France, Germany.
would that
Sorry,
oppose? Would that oppose analytic?
So classically, there are two different traditions. In fact, analytic philosophers stay away from continental, and continental stay away from analytic. But truly, it's a divide that it's a divide that's not a rigid one. It's not ironically, it's not an analytic divide, meaning that continental philosophers and analytic philosophers might be answering the same questions. That's a lot of people's view. But the way the continental philosopher goes about it is they use totally different language. They use a different approach. They're not interested in logically reducing every concept. They just take a different approach to the question. So a question like, a question like, what is the meaning in life? Well, the analytic philosopher is going to, well, what do you mean by meaning? Do you mean importance, significance? Do you mean,
right.
What subjective, objective, right? There's all these sorts of immediate questions that the analytic philosopher gives. The continental philosopher might tackle the question very differently. And I'm not a continental philosopher, but they might say, what does it mean of life? Well, let's look at this narrative between a woman and her child and see how she interacts with the world and kind of make inferences from her human experience to what we can say about that question. What's the meaning of life? And it's a cut, and that's kind of like I don't want to say that's totally inaccurate, but that's how it seems to like us analytic philosophers, that they just answer the question in terms of human intuition, the human condition. There's just it's just I wish I think I will bring someone onto my channel that thinks that is a continental philosopher, or at least some analytic philosopher that knows a lot about continental philosophy. And I think it's a big conversation to be had about what are they doing and why do we stay away from it as analytic philosophers. But anyways, analytic philosophy, which is a tradition that most philosophers are born under, the philosophers Quine, like you get Putnam, Kripke. I mean, most of the philosophers that I utter, they're all analytic. Notice I don't talk about Hegel or Husserl or Heidegger or Sartre, right? Derrida, Foucault. These are all Deleuze, right? These are all philosophers I will never utter the names of. They're all continental. They approach the question very, very. They like to also approach the question historically, right? So, like for instance, deconstructionism. They're taking the idea and they're kind of given a historical explanation for the concept, as if to deconstruct it. Like, oh, this idea of like justice comes from these sorts of themes in history, and they like to tell a story and understand the whole idea of justice behind a story or something like that. That's how I see it, at least. I'm not going to claim that I'm going to represent them perfectly. I would encourage everyone to do their research, but yeah. So analytic philosophers are. I mean, pedantic has a negative connotation, and in saying that maybe we're overdoing it, but
Yeah.
it's going to seem pedantic to people that don't practice the tradition. So, if a Christian asks me, a Christian might tell me, "You have no meaning in your life if God doesn't exist." Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, what do you mean by meaning?
Right.
You know, and they're going to be like, what do you mean, right? Why are you asking that question? You're being pedantic. And I know, I don't, but you know, they're not being crazy when they're accusing me of being pedantic when I say, are you talking about this kind of meaning, that kind of meaning, that kind of meaning? But it's just not fun to deal with, right? Because I don't know. I guess it's just not fun to to logically reduce everything that we're saying and then potentially confuse ourselves, you know? So a question like, what is the mind?
Yep.
Okay. So Aristotle thought the thinking object was not the brain, right? He thought it was the heart.
Yep.
Okay. In fact, he thought little of the brain, very little of the organ. I don't know what he was informed by, but is Aristotle a logical fool for thinking the heart was the thinking thing? I mean, maybe you might say, well, hello, you know, you can stab a heart and you can still have thoughts, right? Or, you know, it could stop beating and you might be able to think, right? But as long as the point is that if you take him to be a logical fool, I think the only way you're going to show that Aristotle was a fool is in saying that there's a contradiction in the phrase that the mind is not the heart and the mind is the heart.
Yeah, I would agree.
Sorry. So you're going to find a contradiction saying that the mind or the thought object is the heart. There's going to be a contradiction there, right? Or let's just say, for sake of argument, that the object that is the thinking thing is like the liver, or I don't know. Let's just pretend for a second. If you were to come to know that, you're going to have to do some kind of investigation. It doesn't seem like you can get there logically speaking. After all, I'm certain that the first human beings that had minds didn't know what a brain was.
Yeah, have you ever if you cut into a brain, you would think it was a fat storage cell that, you know, was a place to store fat.
Yeah, basically. I don't know.
And I have cut brains up, so
basically. Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, I wouldn't disagree with any of this so far. So basically, okay, you can't logically find anything wrong with what Aristotle said. You know, he didn't have the proper evidence. In fact, I almost tend to agree with him a little bit on the heart in an odd sort of way. And I do like the analytic approach, and that when somebody says, you know, they start talking about the mind, it's like, what the hell do you mean by that? You know, how do you apprehend the mind? How are you apprehending this thing, or what are you talking about? And frequently, like, the average person will say, oh, everybody knows what the mind is. Not really.
Yeah, but you see, then it comes down to what does one mean by the mind, right? So, like, let's say you go to Aristotle and you say, I think the mind is the brain. Aristotle is going to, I think he would say something like this. Aristotle would say to you, are you saying that these are identical, right? That what you mean by the mind is the brain? And you say yes. And then, okay, well, I think they're brains, and if what you mean by brain is mind, and what you mean by mind is brain, I'm not going to deny they're brains, so by definition, they're minds.
Yeah.
Right? So this is the problem, right? If I say that this Coke can is my mind, and you ask me, is that by definition? And I say, yeah. Well, I'm not going to deny the existence of that Coke can, and if what you mean by the Coke can is a mind, then yeah, that's a mind. But that's just not how I'm using the term.
Right.
So this is the way this is one of the problems with this question, that if we have a notion of the mind, and it seems to, when we're trying to pick out something in the world, you know, is the brain, is it this part of the brain? Is it these set of brain states that constitute my mind? Is it some kind of function? Is it some kind of causal relation in my body? Right. It seems like, logically speaking, the mind is compatible with being any of these things. Logically speaking.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I think there's probably but there's something that we need to track here that the physicalist is saying, right? That why don't we think that it seems like when people say, yeah, I am my brain, my thoughts are ultimately brain states, that seems to be more sensical than saying that my thoughts are this Coke can or this fingernail or this hand, right?
Right.
So the idea of this question of what is the mind is we're looking for something essential that, like, if we were to not have, we wouldn't have mind, right? So, and I don't mean being interrupted, Speed. Because I'm talking a lot in the
No,
sense
you're
that, like,
doing
I
well.
don't
You're doing
want
well.
to skip over something that doesn't make sense. But like, so so the physicalist is like seems to be onto something, that what they're saying is that, okay, Mr. Dualist, there are no thoughts, it seems like, when there's no brain.
Right.
Okay. Whereas it seems like there could be thoughts without my heart. I can remove my heart, replace it with a machine. So that falsifies what Aristotle was saying.
We've done that.
Yeah. So, but we can't seem to do this with our brain. So, how do I address this? Right. So the claim is that there's an essentialness to the brain and our thoughts, that there's almost a counterfactual here, right? That if there is no brain, there is no mind.
Right.
There's no thoughts. So now the question is, does that establish identity, right? And maybe I'm not characterizing the physicalist well here, okay? But it seems like they're going to accept this counterfactual, right? Guys, for those that don't know what a counterfactual is, it's a conditional in which, well, think about the notion of a counterfact, right? The fact is that if I don't have my brain, I have no thoughts. I have my brain, I have my thoughts. Well, in a world where I don't have my brain, it's not the case that I have my brain. It's not the case that I don't have my brain, but if I were to say that it was true in some other world because it's false in this world, that's a counterfact. So a counterfactual is a conditional that if I were to have no brain, I would have no thoughts. So the question is that a necessary condition for identity, or is it a sufficient condition for identity? Because look, if there was no universe, I would have no mind. If there was no oxygen, well, there's no immediacy there. So let's think about something that's immediate, right? Like if there were no physical things at all, right, I would have no mind. But we don't want to say all physical things are therefore my mind. Maybe you want to say that. I think I've heard you say something like it. But the point is that I'm not convinced that counterfactual is going to get us to identity.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
Okay.
And I guess I'm not the kind of physicalist that would say that mind is brain states, because brain states are problematic. This is basically the physical world right here. So this is like physics time, right? And in physics time, we can think in terms of a very, very tiny piece of time, a nanosecond, right? Or a millisecond. Now in brains, actually, if I were to analyze your brain, if I had one neuron, 1 millisecond access to your brain, I could figure a whole lot of shit out about you. And we don't have to go any lower than a millisecond, maybe. Okay. Because brain's kind of slow when it comes to the world. But anyway, physical time has this particular point in time, right? Whereas mind does not work that way. Mind isn't the kind of thing that works at a particular point in time. Okay. It has to occupy this swath that I've drawn here around Tn. So if we're at this time roughly in the physical world, I'm dragging up a bit of my past and I'm projecting a bit of my future at the same time. So that's kind of the state of mind. So when you say brain state, it's problematic in that it's not brain state. It's more like brain swath. Okay. So that's the first thing that you need to know about my thinking on the mind.
Wait, what do you take a state to be?
A state would be if we were physicists and I were able to freeze you at one moment in time and unwind every state of your neurons, exactly what currents were going in your neurons at that time, which neurotransmitters were, all of that. In principle, if I had a big enough computer and database, I could completely map every single second of your mind, or every little particle in your mind, and give you a brain state. I could say this is the state of your brain. And then if I went to time n+1 down here, I need a better color.
While you're doing that, I think the word state is to me very simple, because I accept that they're mental states and I accept that they're brain states, right? But I think they're of two different ontological categories. All a state is think of like a state of affair, the way things are for that thing.
What
So
do you
there's
mean
a
by
state.
a mental state?
Well, that goes back to the word state, right? But the idea is that when I say there's a brain state, I'm saying that there's the way that the brain is at a particular time, right?
Okay.
There's a bodily state that I'm in right now. If I freeze in this point in time, there's going to be you can talk about that particular state. You can quantify certain things, right, at that particular time. And obviously, there's a different brain state, there's a different bodily state as for every particular interval. Same with mental state, right? But it's supposed to pick out something, right? A mental state, the mental state, or mental states are sets of those things, right? It's a broad notion, right? So when I say brain state, I just mean something like the way that the brain is at a given moment.
Fucking raccoons.
I'm just saying that if there's a brain state, there's a way that the brain is at a particular moment. That's all I mean, right? In the same way that a mental state is the whatever kind of contents or whatever kind of belief there is, that particular thing is that state.
Can you give me an example of a mental state?
Of a mental state? Well, there are two categories, right? But let's just talk about. I think pain is a good example. Pain is a mental state. Beliefs and desires are mental states. Those are going to be the sorts of the two categories of mental states. People usually say they're out of all your mental states, they will either be qualitative or that's like sensation, or intentional, which are beliefs and desires, right? So if I'm saying that I have some mental state, I'm saying that I either have a qualitative state or an intentional state or some maybe combination of both. Like in the case of a pain, it applies two sorts of states, perhaps. It could. Like the idea of pain is that there could potentially be a sensation, a qualitative state in which you have an attitude about, so that you think it should be corrected or you find aversive, right? So I might have a sensation. The fact that I find it aversive is an intentional state. So there I have a qualitative state plus an intentional state, and that's what I mean by pain in some cases.
Okay, do you believe okay. So I have a problem with mental states too, because it seems too reductive. But let me explain it this way. Okay, so there's two moments in time, right? And so we have mental state 1 or what and mental state 2. So we have 1 and 2. Do you believe you've ever had the same mental state twice in your entire life?
Absolutely.
Really? Okay. So you believe that. I don't. Do you believe, and I further don't believe, that no two human beings in the entire universe...
Can you repeat the question?
Okay. Do you believe that you have had two identical mental states in your life? Like your mind was one thing in this state, so it was one thing, and over here it was identical to it at another time, say a year from now.
Well, we have to be careful. Okay, like, do you think that you and I share a belief that we're having a conversation? Do we have the same belief that you and I are in conversation?
Yeah, and that there is a common center of our communication that basically allows us to maintain that identity, right?
And that's all I mean by, that's the sense that I'm saying that I have the same belief I did 10 minutes ago that Speed is bald. Okay.
But you understand that but you don't believe that you've had two identical mental states in, like,
well, when I say, look, there's a sense in which it has to be true that I have the same belief I did, that I have a belief that you were bald, and I believed the same thing 10 minutes ago. In the same way that you and I have the same belief that we're in a conversation, that the way that we establish identity through time, although this is very controversial, is that we identify with beliefs that we had, or that we could, like, I have beliefs about my family that have not changed as long as I can remember. And I would say those are the same beliefs, and in virtue of that, I'm the same person. right? I think that you're gonna lose a lot if you say that no two mental states are identical, given the fact that they're at different times, right? There's got to be a sense in which there's an identity relation, and I think that that's in terms of its propositional aspect, the attitude towards the proposition. That proposition itself is what establishes continuity. Well, this is one of the reasons why I'm a Platonist as well, because Platonism can account for this idea that we have shared beliefs.
Okay. Okay, then I would describe you as being extremely reductive about mental states, and I believe something entirely different about what a mental state is.
Can we get into what you mean by reductive? Because reductive in philosophy it's a posteriori. It's not a priori, meaning that, like, let me give a very simple example of a reduction in philosophy.
Okay.
There's a statue of I don't know, Simone de Beauvoir. Okay, statue. Now it's made of clay. Okay, if I say that all that statue is those set of molecules, right? The clay molecules, right? That there's an identity relation between the Simone de Beauvoir, that statue, and the thing that has a certain length, width, physical constitution. If I'm making that identity relation, that's what's considered a reduction, right? Because I'm saying all that statue, there's nothing over and above the constitution of the statue. So we can just talk about the statue in terms of the clay particles or something. That's what a reduction is, on my view, that you're taking A and you're really understanding in terms of more simple parts B to where we can eliminate the A. That's what I take a reduction to be. What do you mean?
The same thing, that basically you're taking a mental state to be this word commonality that we have between us, but it's nothing like that at all. It's much richer, it's much deeper, much more complicated, in that these two mental states could never possibly be identical. Okay. Even though we would utter the same word, and we find this common, because the brain kind of works to see patterns in things, right? So you can see things. You can see a structure or a pattern, and you'll say, "Oh, that's the same as this other pattern," but those two patterns are obviously two entirely different areas of space, right? So it's the same with mental states.
Okay, but here's the thing we have to talk about, right? I think I'm so far from making any kind of reduction claim, right? And I think this is so. Maybe this might help. Do you think
did I use a dirty word on you?
Well, we'll clear it up. Do you think when I say a triangle is a shape with three sides whose angle is equal to 180, is that a reduction on your view?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
we are talking really, past each other then.
Not really. No, that wouldn't be reductive, because you're describing in total what that concept is, but you're never going to find a triangle in the real world. You're never going to find two triangles.
Like a perfect triangle?
You're never going to find a triangle.
Yeah, I can grant that. But you see, the fact is that if I say that what I mean by a belief is that I have an attitude towards some proposition in a way where I take it to be true, I'm doing the same thing as when I say a triangle is a shape with three sides whose angle is equal to 180, right? That I'm just telling you what I mean by the term, nothing else.
Yeah, we're communicating. We're using this common core, this linguistic core, and we're communicating that these two completely different patterns have a commonality to them. We see a pattern in them because we can see patterns. That's what our brain does, right? So we use this commonality between us. But I'm talking about something else. I'm talking about the reality, what the mind is. So the mind cannot exist of mental states. There was never a time when you just had one mental state of ouch or belief or desire. Okay, those are things that are reductive, or we're reducing them to something, to this common core. Okay, and we're saying that, yeah, I had an ouch feeling in my toe. I had another ouch feeling in my toe the day later. It was the same feeling, and I would caution against going down that path. But maybe we have two different objectives here. And in that manner, we're going to talk past each other if we proceed down this line. But anyway,
I'm not sure what you're disputing about what I said.
Yeah. Okay. So let's figure out what you said first so that I don't have that wrong. You said that you have had the same mental state twice in your life.
Yeah.
That sometimes you've had the state. Okay.
Wait, let's just start. Let's make things a little bit easier. Do you think there's ever a case in which one mental state could be identical to another mental state? In any case?
No, never.
Okay,
Not
so
in the universe.
do you take beliefs to be a mental state?
Beliefs to be a mental state. No. Well.
Oh, then okay. Now I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. So yeah, I would say that a belief is a disposition to comment on something or behave somehow. It's a dispositional structure in your brain that is going to elicit similar responses twice in a row.
Wait, 1 second.
Just a disposition.
I'm asking you what you mean by the term, right? Because when you tell me when you tell me, Speed, I believe that you'll come on my show if I ask you to come at 9 p.m. I understood you despite not knowing anything about brains.
Okay.
Right? You see what I'm saying? So I'm asking you, when you say something like, I believe that rape is wrong, I can understand what you mean despite not knowing anything about your brain states, which means that what you mean by the belief has nothing to do with brain states.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
My sister's watching this. Hi, Char.
Char? Not the same. No, I think I know a Char, but probably nothing to do with.
My Char doesn't usually get on YouTube, so she just sends me text messages commenting on how tired I look.
Yeah, so like this is when you tell me, Danny, I believe rape is wrong, I'm going to understand you. In fact, an 8-year-old is going to understand you, okay? But they don't know. They might not even know anything about brains or what you said, right? So when I'm just simply when I say that I believe that X, I'm just saying that my attitude towards X is such that X is true, that I consider X to be true. That's all I'm saying, right? And so now the thing is that you take the proposition that we're having a conversation to be true, and I take the same proposition, and I think it's true as well. So in virtue of having the same attitude towards that proposition, do we have the same belief, right? Now, it's not the same in the sense that you have your belief and I have my belief. What establishes that phrase, we have the same belief that we're in a conversation right now, to be true, is because of the proposition that we're thinking about. Yeah, so Jerry wants to, do you want to respond to that before I answer Jerry's question?
Well, what to respond to? Okay, hold on a second. What is Jerry's question?
Okay, so the first question he had, if you want to highlight it, how's Danny's idea of the mind different than abstraction or concept? What other unknowns fall in this category? This is a good question. So in philosophy, abstracta doesn't do anything. The number 9 is considered to be an example of an abstract object. It doesn't cause anything. Nothing causes it. It's just, it doesn't engage in causal relations. It's causally inert. But my mental states are not causally inert. They cause things. They engage in causal relations. Okay? So that's why the mind is not an abstraction. Abstractions don't do anything. Minds do things, right? Concepts are, I think this is one of the hardest questions for me, what a concept is. But I think some concepts are themselves mental, because what a concept is a construal of an object in terms of what's true of it. So my concept of Speed is that he's over 50 years old, that he owns the show Answers in Atheism, that he likes philosophy, he likes science, he hates creationism. These truths form my concept of Speed. So when I say that I have a concept, right, that concept is built on these sets of things that I take to be true about an object, right? So I have a concept of myself, right? I have all these propositions that are true of myself, that if they weren't true, I wouldn't recognize myself. But those propositions, those truths, are going to be understood mentally, I think, in the sense that the way I put the concept together is going to be based on how I divide the world and how I see things and I reason things out, right? So my concept of speed is very different than Jerry Penna's concept of speed, right? You know a lot more about speed because you've known him longer. You know more about what he's likely to do or what he's likely not to do. And so your concept of speed is more formed. And so, but I'm not going to say that the mind itself, your intentional states are themselves conceptual, because beliefs are reasons that we have for forming concepts. I guess that might be a way to say it. I'm going to have to think more about what I just said, but that's just to not understand the mind in terms of a concept itself. And go ahead. Oh, speed. Okay. And then Jerry, I think those were your.
What? Enough.
That's what I tried to answer.
Okay. I don't understand Jerry's second question.
Oh, like what unknowns fall in this category? Are you talking about the category of immaterial or non-physical? Is that what you're asking?
You asking Jerry?
Oh, okay. So mind is not abstract, but it's non-physical. So abstracta are in that category, and I'd take something called value properties to be in that category as well. Now, value properties are not mental themselves. Okay, so they're not abstracted because they engage in causal relations. Okay.
So to you guys out there not paying any attention to chat, I can't do that. I would need 2 tracks. I only have 1 track available tonight. So you have to make it, I don't know. I'm not sure. Oh, if I look to the right, I can see my name in red. So yeah, if you ask me, if you say answers in atheism, I'll spot it. But anyway, okay. So where the hell were we?
Okay, so Jerry asked this question, and then what I was asking you is what you meant by a mental state, or more specifically, a belief. Because you were asking me, is it sensible to say that I had some other mental state that's identical to some mental state I have now? Okay?
Right.
And there's a sense in which that has to be true, because the belief that my mom is my mom, right? I'm not using her name. I don't want to dox anyone, right? That the person that bore me is my mother. I've had that belief for a long time, that there's continuity in terms of that belief. And the way that we establish continuity is in terms of something being identical, right? And if you were to say that by my belief that we're having a conversation right now, well, I had that belief 5 minutes ago, to say those are not the same belief, well, there's a sense in which that's true in the sense that they're at different timestamps, right? Maybe, so if you want to say that in virtue of that, they're different, but that's not what we're saying is the same. What we're saying is the same is the proposition that I have an attitude of, that is the content of my belief, right? And that's consistent. That's the same.
Yeah, okay. So to me, a belief is a disposition, and a disposition consists of some structure in my brain. Okay, that's some particular wiring in my brain, and every time I access that belief, I will generate something from it. So I would generate words, or I would generate actions, or something would happen as a result of that disposition. And then as soon as I did that, there would be a small change. So there'd be a little bit of delta in this disposition. So every time I access my belief, it would become more powerful. It would become moved. Like every time I think about Danny, like I just thought of you in a blue shirt until you shut it off real fast. And hello, he's torturing an old man again. Anyway, so every time you access a belief, it changes very slightly. And the belief is going to change depending on what situation you're in. And it's much more complicated in my mind. And you seem to be reducing it rather well to words, concepts, properties, things like that. And I don't so much.
What we mean by reduction, okay, I'm just going to use your terms, right? It seems like you don't want to use my terms. That's fine. When you say reduction,
what in the fuck? This raccoon is fighting. I don't know what the hell they're trying to break into my fence. I think they have welding goggles on and they have a blowtorch. Should I be worried? I don't know. Anyway.
Look, I'm just saying that I'm just telling you what I mean by the term. What I mean by belief is this. Okay, and you really can't be wrong about what you mean, right? That I can be wrong about, what it's referring to, but I don't think I can be wrong about what I mean.
But do you see how differently we're thinking about it? I'm thinking in this physical neuroscience area, right, where I would describe things down here, and at the same time I would describe things up here. But when I describe things up here, they don't look like little spots; they look like big blobs that fade and go through time, and they interact with this thing. So, so I think it's very problematic to reduce things unless we agree to do that, and then we can go ahead and talk about
I
what
think
beliefs
either
are.
I'm still not getting what you mean by reduction. It seems now that based on what I heard you're just meaning that I have too simplistic a notion of a belief. Is that what you're saying?
uh, I wouldn't call it simplistic. I'd call it more traditional. You're using you're communicating with me with language and concepts, okay, and that's one plane. But I'm saying if we're going to talk about how beliefs actually work, we have to go into this much fuzzier, you know, stranger neuroscience world, that sort of thing, where we look at things a little bit differently. But uh, there is a thing, and there was something to do in philosophy of belief about disposition versus something else, and I'm not sure
Where
if I
did you get this
remember.
from?
No idea. Is this something I read about a year or two
So,
ago?
so no, there is. So the word disposition is a vague term, and
Yep.
you have to get the philosopher to specify what they mean. So,
Yep.
like in virtue ethics, a disposition is just a tendency to act, but it's not like the way they use the term disposition in science, right? Like a solubility or fragility or dispositions of physical objects, right there,
Yeah.
where those are like some kind of uh, potentiality with respect to what it might
Right.
cause, right? So, but the idea of a disposition, no matter who you are, seems to relate to the notion of cause. Okay, um, that if I'm disposed to doing X, that I'm sort of like there's something about me that brings about X in a causal way, right? Um, and is that what you mean?
So by disposition, I mean sort of a black box that's really complicated on the inside, right? So if you ask me what my belief is about President Douchebag, uh,
Trump?
that last guy, okay, you ask me what my belief is about that, and if I tell you one or two words, you're still not going to know what my belief is about Douchebag. Okay, you're going to have to ask me a billion questions and you'll still be getting new information about what my belief is. So I'm saying a belief is much more complicated and more interconnected with all sorts of other concepts for, so a belief is not something that we can just apply one word to. I'm a liberal and that's what I believe about President Douchebag. We can't just very unless we agree to do that. Then we're going to reduce it to that, right? We're reducing this complex to this particular thing is what we're talking about. So anyway,
Yeah, I'm just having a hard time understanding where you disagree with me.
I'm not sure if I do.
Well,
I think
you definitely want to disagree with me, right? Because if you agree with me on all of this stuff, it kind of it doesn't seem to be compatible with what you're saying, but I can't quite point it out. I don't know what you're trying. I don't know whether you're just trying to elaborate on your view or whether you're trying to say, well, no, actually, we should understand beliefs in this way.
no, I'm trying to elaborate on my view. Okay, I'm trying
Okay.
to tell you or trying to give you an idea about where we may run amok in the future or in the past. And I'm not trying to, uh, because we don't have any real contention between us right now. We're just talking about beliefs. And you asked me what I think a belief is, and I told you it's complicated, is basically it's complicated.
But there's a sense in which it's not, right? If I tell you, I mean, everyone understands if I were to tell someone I believe rape is wrong, everyone knows what I mean. It means something like this, right? That I take the proposition rape is wrong to be true. That's what everyone is going to interpret me as. Now, you're going to interpret me that as that. So there's a sense in which it's actually very simple, right? That the belief that X is to say that I take the proposition X to be the case, to be true, to be reflective of how the world is. Okay. And to say that, well, look, belief is all these other things, right? Is sort of the question is that captured in the cases where you're saying, Danny, I believe that rape is wrong, and I just don't think it is, right? Unless, am I missing something here?
Okay, I believe bacon is healthy.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I can communicate that to you. But if we were to take that apart and we'd start looking at, okay, what do I think bacon is? Is it Canadian bacon? Is it, I might think it's ham. And then is healthy. Okay. So then we have what is healthy. We'd have to start taking that apart, right? And as we took those apart, we're two entirely different organisms, and we're communicating with these words, and we're doing a damn good job. I mean, when I say I believe bacon is healthy, you know exactly what I mean, right?
presumably, yeah.
Yeah, but
I don't think that, like, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that.
but you asked me what a belief was, and I'm not going to say it's these
Do you
words.
disagree with my that when I say that I have belief that rape is wrong, that you interpret me as the
Can we use
proposition?
Can we use my bacon example,
Sure.
please? Thank you.
You told me I believe that bacon is healthy. What I take that to mean, at the very least, is that you take the proposition that bacon is healthy to be true. In terms of what the word belief or the term belief is doing there, that's all it's doing. Now, in terms what you mean by bacon and healthy and all, those are different questions, right? It doesn't matter what the proposition is. That the second that you say I believe whatever, that I'm just take you to be saying that whatever you take to be something that's true, to be reflective of how things are.
Yeah, there are some interesting jokes that are based on, I'll say one thing to you and you'll take an entirely different meaning from it and walk away with it. And we have the same feeling that we've communicated something until I tell you the punchline. And then you have like a mini epileptic seizure, which is what laughter is. And you say, oh, I see what you mean. I see what you did there. So it ain't that goddamn simple. But I believe bacon is healthy. I've communicated something to you, and you walk away with your disposition, and I have mine, but they're not identical. But you did ask me what I thought belief was, right? So I told you a belief is a disposition. It's a state of the brain that is such that it's like a black box. And now if something comes up, like somebody asks me a question about that belief, then it will elicit a response. Or if I need that belief to direct my action, then I will act in a certain way. But there's no way that we could describe what is in that black box with one word. So that would be reductive. Okay. It would be much more complicated than that, because like in ethics, you end up with these fringe, these sort of like gray areas, where people argue forever. Is this moral? Is that moral? Is this good? Is what, whatever. And it's because it is so complicated. I think, and I never quite understood Wittgenstein at the level that I wanted to, but he sort of had this idea of, like a family resemblance, sort of like a sort of a fuzzy area where when you start analyzing it, you'll end up with all kinds of problems eventually, because some things won't be identical. So that's what I mean by belief. So I believe something more complicated in terms of a brain disposition. That's what our beliefs are. And I use that to change what I believe. Okay, because I understand that my beliefs are this complicated network of things. And sometimes if I take out like one or two pieces, the whole damn belief changes, right?
Look,
So
go ahead.
Go ahead.
So, are you giving me an account of what you mean by the term belief?
Yes.
So when you tell me, Danny, I believe that rape is wrong, you mean that you have a disposition that rape
You
is
mean when
wrong.
I believe bacon is healthy?
Any belief.
Okay, any belief bacon is healthy. Okay, so if I believe that bacon is healthy, what was the question again? Based on bacon?
Yeah. You have a disposition to you're describing a causal disposition when you say you believe that bacon is healthy?
Yes, I have a disposition to go out and uh, fry 4 pounds instead of
You could
6 ounces.
fail though and you would still have the belief.
Of course, yeah.
So that means that the belief is not construed in terms of its causal disposition.
It's
Not meaningfully.
no, the belief is construed in terms of
Let
of
me
what is wired into my brain.
wait 1 second. Let me describe what I'm saying, right? That's like saying what if someone asked me what I meant by a bike, and I said, well, it's the sort of thing that can get you to work. But the point is that if I could still have a concept of a bike, I can still know what a bike is and have a meaning and some kind of meaning about it, without it being with that bike without any bike being able to get me to work, right? I don't. The point is that the way that we might construe a bike is not in terms of what it does for me or what it does for my life or in my case, right? The point is that if someone were to have the belief that bacon is healthy, that doesn't they could not eat any bacon, right? In fact, they could have a contradictory belief, right? They might even have something that entails that the bacon is unhealthy, right? The point is that I'm just asking very simply, right? When Speed tells me I believe X, is Speed telling me something about what he's doing or what he's done or what he will do? And if that's what you're telling me, it seems like whatever effect you're giving me, I could take away and you could still have that belief.
Sure.
So that means that you're not getting at the what you mean by belief.
Oh, I am. And you're just not taking my meaning, and my drawing is broken. My drawer is broken. I don't know why my drawer is broken.
Okay, wait. So let me just get this very clear. If you say, Danny, I believe that bacon is healthy, okay, you're telling me, okay, if I were to say that, this is what I'm telling someone. I have the attitude about a proposition that that bacon is healthy. I take that to be true of the world. Okay, now you're telling me that's not what you mean. So can you tell me what you mean when you say to someone, I believe that bacon is healthy, if you were to tell someone on the street?
That I believe that bacon is healthy?
Yeah, if you were to tell someone on the street, what do you mean in that case?
If I were to tell somebody on the street that bacon is healthy,
If not,
that I'm trying to change them in some fashion that would have them eating more bacon, or that I want them to agree with me, or I want them to say something, and I have some disposition. I have a belief, which is a complicated brain state, a complicated brain disposition. That is my belief. And I go out and I try to evangelize and get other people to eat more bacon. That would be one thing I could do based on my belief. But now the next guy, the guy that I convince bacon is healthy, he may react totally differently. And he may have a whole different idea about what I meant by bacon being healthy. And, it doesn't, the thing is, the belief is in my brain. It is a disposition in my brain that is going to elicit certain responses. Okay.
this doesn't make I'm having a hard time understanding. This is going to point out the issue. I believe X. What do you mean by what is meant by that on your view?
I believe X.
Yeah, whatever, substitute whatever proposition. I think you're getting distracted by the content of the belief, the proposition itself. I'm more interested in what you mean by the belief, the term belief, not interested in the contents. Right?
Okay.
So if I'll tell you what I mean, and then you can tell me that's not what I mean, instead I mean this. When I tell someone on the street, I believe X, I could instead say something like this. I take X to be true of the world.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
Okay, that could be one meaning. Yeah, I believe X to be true. I believe bacon is healthy, and so I'm talking about a true fact about human beings and their health and all of that. But that isn't what I call a belief. So, and I think
what is it that you call a belief?
The disposition in your brain.
No. What is it that you're rejecting? Sorry, I misunderstood.
What am I rejecting? I think I want to think about this. So I kind of want to stop here. Okay.
That's fine.
Because there's something really fundamentally wrong or different between how we're thinking about this, right? Something fundamentally different. And I want to try to absorb your view of the thing and figure out exactly where I'm at after that. So
okay, that's great. Well, I'm glad we talked about it.
Yeah, because there's really a fundamental difference, I think. And you aren't the only person I have this issue with. So there is some idiosyncrasy in how I think. And I'm going to open this up and see if anybody wants to come in and talk. Anybody want to come in and talk about this or chat with Danny? Or, I'm pretty much my drawing pad's broken.
Is it really? What happened to it?
No, my pen needs charging. I don't know. I think it's this application. It's the one that Sean Carroll uses, and it really sucks.
Is it iPad? Is it iPad?
It's on an iPad, yeah. Will you stop that, you little asshole? Fucking raccoons.
I use GoodNotes. I love GoodNotes. Oh, I love it.
GoodNotes? Really?
Yeah.
Let me try that.
Oh, it's so much.
On your iPad?
On my iPad, I use GoodNotes, but it's less about drawing and more about writing. But I mean, I'll show you some of the notes that I look what I did with my students today. This was today. Okay, we talked about the greenhouse effect. Okay, and let me show you what I did with them very quickly. Blah 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 blah. I need a second. I'm going to show my second block because I've had my second.
Jerry,
look, this is what I did. Can you see this or not?
Oh, nice.
You see, that was nice. That was all on the on GoodNotes.
Okay.
Right. And you see, I have the percentage of the gases of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Right. So it's very, very nice. Okay. Let me see Jerry's comments. Oh yeah. No. I think what's his I think Speed was being very serious and really trying to explain himself and understand me. He was very serious interlocutor.
What was he saying? I hope you don't call answers an atheist and not a serious interlocutor going forward. Yeah. Okay.
Now, I already, in case you don't know, I did put a playlist up, but I actually put all of those videos unlisted officially.
You don't have to do that. Actually, I appreciate the sparks. The fight. Go ahead and do it. It's fun.
There's a playlist, but they have to really dig for it. I'm not putting that. I don't want to poison my channel with drama. So that was one of them. It wasn't for you.
Oh, it's not drama. It's just fun. We're just having fun. We're like, I call you a weenie, and it's just fun. Yeah,
no, but I'm saying they're not easily accessible. I don't want them to be easily accessible. Okay. I did the same thing with John's video.
What the hell was I going to type? Oh, GoodNotes.
GoodNotes. Yeah, I love GoodNotes. That's what I use for my classes.
Hey, we got a Brenda here.
Oh, this is Brenda?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Who's underneath, right next to Brenda?
Oh, it's one word. GoodNotes.
Cerberus.
Oh, okay.
Boost your productivity.
Yeah, I've never met you, Danny. I mean, I know SpeedOfSound, kind of.
So GoodNotes 5. GoodNotes 5.
Never. Sorry, what?
GoodNotes 5.
Yeah, the most recent one.
I already have it downloaded. I just haven't used it. Okay.
So, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm doing this from my phone. This is the first time I've done it this way. So let me know if I mess anything up.
No, nothing messed up.
I don't know what you're even talking about. I heard. I literally just got here.
Oh, okay. We're talking about beliefs and mind and all sorts of stuff.
Okay, then I got a question for Speed.
Oh no, I don't have a lot of bandwidth, but I'll try.
Okay, so assuming you weren't lying to someone.
Okay.
If you say you believe something, you don't think that what you believe is false, do you?
No.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
So would it be equivalent to you saying I believe X or saying I think X is true?
Equivalent, yes.
Okay. There you go, Danny. There's your answer you were looking for.
There's the answer. That's probably
Okay,
more
but you
simple
asked
way.
me what a belief was.
Yeah.
What it is.
Yeah, what's
Okay.
equivalent to would
I
be
can tell you.
Okay, go ahead.
Belief is mental content that you hold to be true.
Yeah, that's something like something like my view. Yeah.
Yep. This is
What do
why
you
I get
think it
into
is,
trouble
Midnight?
with human beings.
Oh my god.
Midnight, why did you you stop talking to me on Discord? I thought you were interested in a conversation.
I was, but we couldn't get past the whole because you wanted to use non-fit, like non-natural. What's the difference between using supernatural and non-natural? I was like,
I don't really see a difference.
that's what that.
Well, I
So
mean,
then
there's
the question arises: if there's no difference, why not just say supernatural?
Exactly my point. Thank you, Leo.
I guess because of the connotation, not the denotation.
What connotation?
Well, that it refers to like Harry Potter or something.
Well, I mean,
You're the one who
fundamentally
brought
it
Harry
does.
Potter.
So it
But what's
seems
really
to me-
ironic is that
it seems to me I didn't finish. It seems to me that
Wow, Leo, StreamYard hates you.
You froze up, Leo.
but it seems non-natural might include human creations.
Can I have multiple pages on this, Danny?
what creations do humans make that are not contained within the natural world or that don't arise through natural processes?
Do we call human creations natural creations?
Yes.
We do. I've never heard anyone do it.
Wait, hold
I
on,
have.
hold on. I can clear this up.
So you would call a Ford F-150 a natural vehicle?
Yes. It's
Okay.
made of natural materials in the natural world and operates through natural processes. It is
Yeah, but that's not what
100%
I'm
natural.
referring to.
Well, then we're obviously using two different terms for natural. I don't refer to natural as in made by biological processes, which is not the philosophical usage of the term naturalism, generally speaking, or natural, generally speaking. It is things that which occur within and by the laws, I guess you could say, that quote unquote govern the natural world. Literally everything that humans are and literally everything that humans do is, by definition, natural.
Yeah, see what the reason that people get hung up on, they think that words can only have one meaning,
Yeah.
and it can only have one restrictive meaning, and that doesn't have to be true. We can have multiple meanings for words and just understand by context what we're talking about.
Speed
Yes,
loves
words are
drama.
poly-
I don't mean to interrupt. Speed, is this Good Notes? Because there's a is that Good Notes?
Yeah.
Okay,
Good
well,
Notes 5?
there's a lot of settings that, like, first of all, it's very thin, and you should we have to get together and fix your settings because there's going to be a better way of.
How do you make how do you make it fatter?
Yeah.
Landscape? Is there a
Speed.
landscape option?
Why are you so old?
Is your
I'm still
laptop
thinking about him.
Speed is your
Where's the
iPad
option?
vertical
Where's
or
the option to
horizontal?
make your pen bigger?
It depends. Are you vertical with your iPad or are you horizontal
Horizontal.
with your iPad?
Horizontal.
Okay, well, then I don't know because I don't use GoodNotes. I use an Adobe program because I know it's safe.
Okay, so pressure sensitivity. We got draw and hold, stylus and palm rejection. So I got brush pen. So what is I mean, can you change the width of your pen?
Yes. Look, Speed. Look over here. Look at my screen. There should be something on the top right corner where you can change that. Okay. Do you see it?
Nope.
So you don't see this kind of interface.
Yeah, yours is entirely different than mine.
Well, that's so strange.
Yeah, so I have GoodNotes 5. Is that different?
Let me double check. Let me check.
Maybe I don't have something showing. Copy page, rotate page.
Mine just says Good Notes.
Mine
check.
says untitled notebook at the top.
I did want to say really quickly to Cafe, I have Google Fi for my phone service. We don't have it for our Wi-Fi service because the local ISP that we utilize has fiber optic. So I don't know why you're claiming I need that. The problem with StreamYard is not with my internet connection. It's with StreamYard because I have never had any problems with my internet ever with anything else other than StreamYard. That is the one and only thing that I have ever had problems with in terms of connectivity.
It's pretty good. Let's see, image notebook. Do you use notebook? Squared paper. Okay. Ruled narrow.
We need to fix like there's black. We need a first of all, you need a black background to make it not as intense for people, and then change it to white ink, and it's so much more visually appealing. But yeah, there's a lot of things that we need to figure out on your settings there. Are you mirroring your screen? Your iPad screen?
Yeah. Shit. Yeah, there were some issues. Okay, I
had a question. Is it possible to, like, once you've bought Reflector 3 on a device, like my MacBook to my iPad, that I could utilize it through another device? Like, is there a way to log in and do that, or do you have to buy it separately for each device you want to use it on?
What now?
So I have Reflector 3 on my MacBook, so I can use my iPad with it. Is there a way to do that on my Pixelbook without having to repurchase it for my Pixelbook?
I
do
don't
they
know.
let you log in and you? Okay, never mind.
Did you download it as a DMG?
I don't know.
Okay, because you might be able to copy it over.
Downloaded it.
Yeah, I can't remember how that thing installed, but if it's like a DMG, I think you can copy the file over. And who knows whether or not Apple figured out a way to screw you on that stuff. But if you can find the original download that you did, for the app, how you installed it. Did you install it? No, you didn't install it from the App Store, did you?
I don't believe so.
Okay. If you downloaded it, then there's something that you downloaded. Whatever you downloaded is a file, and you can copy that file. It'll be in your downloads folder. So if you look in Finder, it'll be in your downloads folder. So I hit, goddamn, that's the cover. So where the hell is I'm not sure if we have the same program, Danny.
I don't know. We have to get together if you want to,
Yeah, we'll screw around with it sometimes.
I'm sorry about that.
There's
a delay when I close out
the
Windows, and so I'll click the X button twice, and then it closes out whatever browser I have open behind it, because I guess it just wants to be a slow fucking piece of shit.
It could be. So where the hell is GoodNotes loaded?
I think you have two different programs there.
I love mine.
This is called GoodNotes, but it's I'm not seeing options for changing the background and a few other things. So anyway, but I'm sure it's here somewhere. I just have to poke around.
You're too old, Sound. Just kidding.
I'm getting a little tired of ageism. I'm sorry, but and I know you're with me.
I apologize.
I know you're with me, Brenda.
Hey, Speed, I'm old too. I'm like 50. Just kidding. I'm 36.
Yeah.
But still old.
I'm the youngest one in here. Wow.
Danny is, isn't he?
No, Danny's
he's
older
like-
than me. Danny's
no,
like
no.
28.
No, Danny's 15. Just look at him.
Danny is deaf. What did you say you were? 28, Danny?
Have
27,
you lost?
28.
Have you lost your umbilical cord yet, Danny?
Thank you.
I mean, come on. How does he not look young? Holy shit.
My sister said, "Is he 13?" No, she didn't quite say that. She just asked how old you were.
Okay, Speed, I have a question. Immutable
no, which one?
had mentioned gauge theory in the side chat. Did either you or Danny, and I mean no offense when I say this, but I doubt Danny did you happen to mention gauge theory at all in your talk? Or did
No.
Immutable just bring it up out of nowhere?
He brought it up out of nowhere.
I brought it up?
No.
No,
Immutable must have brought it up out of nowhere. Why? Immutable's a fucking character sometimes.
Yeah, there's
Dude,
something wrong with that guy.
Leo, you have no idea about Immutable, okay? I've known him longer than you have.
Okay, I still know the guy pretty well, and he's a bit of a character. I don't mean that in a
Let
bad
me share my
way.
screen, Speed, and
No,
I'll show you.
I know you don't mean it in a bad way. You know what? Forget it. Moving on.
You see,
Okay,
it's so nice, right? You see the black background with the white. So, there's this is what I do for my job. So here's like a new, so you can zoom in, zoom out easy. Here's white, so like speed, of sound stream. I'm writing pretty fast. You can do things like shapes pretty easily.
So, pop out and show me your icon. How you
Okay.
started that up.
So it's going to be down here. You see on the bottom, right next to my Discord app.
Oh shit! Zoom.
Just go-
I'm looking
go
at
to-
all of Danny's applications to see.
Yeah, it's all school friendly because I use this for work. Okay, you see the good notes right there? On the
Yeah,
series
same exact one I got. But
Okay,
And then-
I have a question.
okay, show me. No, back out of your notebook and show me the interface for starting a new notebook.
Okay, so
Is GoodNotes free?
no, but I'll
Wow,
buy it
of
for
course
you.
it's fucking
I'll
not.
buy it for you, Leo. Okay, if you want
Oh,
me to give it to you. It's
Nothing
cheap.
in life is free, Leo. Not even love.
I disagree.
So here, Mike, do you have this or no?
It's not the same. Mine comes up with a white screen. It has notebook, folder, image, scan documents. I don't have. You've got something called documents at the top, and I'm not entirely. If I start a new folder,
Speed, keep an eye on the private chat.
okay.
Okay, but
gonna ask you a
I
question.
love because you can open PDFs and you can edit them, highlight them. Oh, it's so nice. Like you see, there's me highlighting. Well, you can't really see it. But I can highlight whatever I want. It's just write notes. Like I think in this book, do I take any notes in this book? Like I guess very basic.
Basic.
No, but we talked about greenhouse
Yeah,
gases.
Go to the part. Okay, I've got documents, and then it says plus new. Okay, and it's got untitled notebook. Those are the things I got.
Okay.
Okay. Hit plus new.
I just hit it.
Hit new notebook. Shit.
How disappointing.
Wow, I don't have any of the black options, and I don't understand why.
You can change that. So hit this. You see paper. Did the GoodNote standard all paper? You see this little thing right here? This little drop. You see paper color? I could change the paper color.
Okay, got it. Okay. We've got enough of this online.
How
let me
much
play with it.
How much does GoodNotes cost?
It's like $8. Let me check.
I thought it was. I don't know. I already had it, so I didn't have to buy it. Cool. Thanks.
$8. It's 5 is $8. All right.
I got to charge my pen. Okay. So what's happening, guys?
Where the fuck did Danny just go? What a weirdo.
Yeah. Something else. Something else was weirdo, Leo.
Danny's back.
Wait, what? Huh? What? I'm so confused.
I disconnected.
I'll be back. And you were.
I will be back. Me too. Even though I'm still here. I don't know. Moving on.
But
Midnight, I don't get it.
right.
Why did you suddenly stop talking to me? You didn't even say I'm not interested anymore. You just kind of left me hanging, man.
I already told you, okay? It's because you couldn't make up your damn mind about, between using supernatural or non-natural. I was like,
but that
you know
was
what?
a semantic dispute. I could just use the word supernatural. Nothing turns on it.
Exactly.
I don't know. I honestly didn't feel like wasting time.
Oh, okay. Okay. I don't want to have a conversation. If you don't want a conversation, you should have just told me. I don't feel like having the conversation.
Thing as I wanted to, but I got bored.
I see that.
You know what's really cool? Oh, Brenda left and came back. Brenda.
Yeah,
lost
I don't
track.
know what happened. I
blame
So
cell
it's probably because Brenda. It's probably because you're old.
I will not say that. I'm sorry.
Midnight. When am I going to get to talk to
I
the
know
white boy?
It's my fault.
You will get to talk to the whatever the fuck when we'll talk later.
Jerry, I'm so sorry. I didn't see all of this. Oh, I've ignored Jerry.
Okay. So I'm looking at private chat for a minute here. Anyway, okay, I got a little treat here. Can I play this?
Can I share my screen just really quickly to make a quick point?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Just go ahead and just kick my screen out and share your screen.
No. Just let me know when it's sharing.
Sharing.
Okay, so because Cerberus asked me for a definition of nature that corroborates with what the one I was using is, and from Collins Dictionary, right here, number 3, of or pertaining to nature or the universe, and number 4 would also qualify of pertaining to or occupied with the study of natural science.
Okay,
But
so
you're
I was
also
using the
not
first one.
likely to find a more philosophical definition of natural in a dictionary because they just don't have them in dictionaries.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was curious, because you said it was commonly used in philosophy this one particular way, and I just don't see that anywhere.
Well, I wouldn't say that one particular way is the only way that it's used in philosophy, but when somebody's speaking of natural in terms of like physical, that's generally what it's meant, of occurring in or pertaining to the natural world in the way that it operates.
Okay. Well, that explanation fixes what I was thinking about what you said.
Well, sometimes people might use natural as opposed to artificial,
Yeah.
meaning
Yes.
man-made. That would be another use. But
I'm
we are
not
allowed.
disagreeing with that. I'm just that would not be the particular way in which I'm using it. And I'm not, what I'm about to say, I'm not ascribing it to anybody here. But if in the instance that somebody were to use that particular definition, natural, as a synonym for artificial, in a discussion with me on that particular subject would be a form of equivocation.
Okay, well,
Again, not ascribing that to anybody here.
So I was under the assumption that Danny might be a theist, right? So when he says non-natural, like, I mean, as far as I'm aware, most of the theology, sin is mankind created, meaning man-made or artificial.
Yeah, I can concede that.
Okay, do you guys want to just watch a short clip? I just thought this was hilarious.
I'm interested. Dude, I just, before we start, I really do have to say, and I'm going to be honest, I really don't say this about a lot of people because I don't think a lot of people do it. But I think Doc, he said it's pronounced Doc, or Donald, handled Darth very, very well. And the reason why is he did not let Darth do what Darth normally does, which is dominate the discussion in an interrogatory way so that he can try to pull particular statements out of his interlocutor. Doc was not letting that happen. He was not letting Darth do what Darth normally does, which is, in my personal opinion, the best way to handle Darth is to be like, look, you know what? I'm not going down this road. I'm not doing this. You're not going to sit here on my channel and dominate the discussion and ask me questions. And then when I ask you, try to deflect and turn the questions back. No, I'm not going to let you do that. I think he handled him very, very well.
Also, when Dak was talking to Otangelo, I have great respect for this man now. He just did one. He's brilliant. He thinks, and you know.
Wait, sorry, are you talking about Dak?
I'm talking about Dak. He's got to learn when to cut a sentence, you know, when he's done with his concept. But I mean, the guy is really cool, and I don't know, I like him. So.
Yeah, I can agree. I think
he's intelligent.
In the same way that Erica describes herself, and she can do it, but she can control herself a little bit, that he not ramble on, but he tends to be a little long-winded. But I will say it's kind of like me, where he might be long-winded, but everything he's saying is relevant to that one point. Like he's not gish galloping several points, but he's very, very, very adept at being able to think on his feet and examine what somebody's saying. Has a very rational mind, a very logical mind, can see holes in somebody's argument very, very quickly. Yeah, he's very, very brilliant individual.
My mother taught me that if I didn't have anything nice to say, to not say anything at all.
So why did you tell us that?
Who just said that?
I don't know. I'm just telling you about my history. That's all.
Danny, your mom taught you that?
I know.
She must be really disappointed.
Sorry.
Okay.
I mean,
hang on a second. Okay, this isn't about the content of what they're talking about at all. So no foreskin. Just listen to this for like 30 seconds or so.
I can try not to foreskin. I can try.
So Dak is talking. He has been talking for a couple minutes or a minute or so.
Well, if we're talking about
wait a minute. Shit, I got the site muted. Could you guys hear it?
Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't.
So Genesis, we're talking about.
Hang on a second. Now I screwed up.
Fucking Christ.
Shit.
Okay, Boomer.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Brenda.
We're going to need a producer for this show soon enough.
What is going on? Okay, I must have 2 windows open.
Wait, so Speed, the ageism stuff is starting to annoy you?
It is.
Okay,
I bring
I'll
it.
stop. I'll stop. But I get so much ageism stuff from on my side of things.
Oh hell yeah! I bring up so much. I mean, I bring it up, and it's my fault. I bring it on, but I mean, I hear it from my ex-wife, and it just gets old.
You know what I hear?
Leo.
You know what I hear from
It's
Danny?
funny for a while.
You know what I hear from Danny? I hear all I hear is, "I just want to be a real boy."
Okay, I won't say anything.
Yeah. Don't repeat things the ex-wife uses against him. That's gonna suck.
I just wanted to let you know that I don't think that any of your irrationality is caused by your age. I think Leo thinks that.
Okay,
I don't think that Speed is irrational.
I know. I'm just saying. When
I know you're being
claimed-
facetious.
Well, whether he's irrational or
Hashtag
not.
Daddy's a weenie.
Yeah,
Hashtag
but
Danny's
I'm
a
just
weenie.
saying that if you say something stupid, it's not. I don't think it's because you're old.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. That's all I wanted to say.
Hashtag Danny's a weenie. Okay, listen.
Well, if we're talking about abiogenesis, we're talking about something so primitive, life so primitive that it's not even life yet. So
Well, if it's
that's not saying
even
I have a
life yet,
primitive view of
well,
life.
if it's not even life yet, then it's not life. So you need to
Okay.
to draw.
But if
You
we're
need to
talking about
let me
abiogenesis,
finish. Let me
if
finish.
we're talking about abiogenesis, we're talking
Donald,
about
you're
life from
interrupting me.
non-life.
I'm unable to make a full.
Did you see Otangelo just interrupt him, and then 15 seconds later complain that Dak was interrupting him?
Yeah.
I mean,
did.
that was precious.
I mean,
I did. Go ahead.
well, no, I just wanted to say, to be fair, okay,
To be
there
fair.
are, yeah, to be fair, a lot of people interrupt others and they complain about being interrupted. Okay,
Yeah, 15 seconds later.
it can be kind of excused.
I mean,
kind
oh
of,
my
not
God!
always.
And that's pretty much 10% of their conversation was Otangelo saying, "Excuse me," just going on and on. It's like Jesus Christ.
I did want to
I
say
had to
really,
fast forward through some of it.
I did want to say really quickly that the point that Doc made there is actually really good. That when we talk about abiogenesis, the thing that I think a lot of these ideas don't realize, intelligent design proponents and other creationists don't realize, is you just cannot, from a biochemical perspective, from a molecular biological perspective, from a physical perspective, a physics perspective, you just cannot extrapolate what we see today back 4 billion years. You just can't do it. Now, it's true that it might not be life as we consider that contemporarily, but to say that these aren't some form of systematically reproducing biological, polybiological compounds, if anybody gets what I mean when I say that, and that it involves multiple biological compounds and systems and processes, a polybiological compound that systematically reproduces on its own, I think would just be almost absurd. Like, this is the problem with abiogenesis, or rather, with the understanding that a lot of creationists have with abiogenesis, is they seem to want to take the way that we understand systems and processes and compounds and structures as they exist contemporarily and extrapolate that back to a time when those systems or processes or what have you simply would not have been present. We're talking about a different structure, a different process, different environments, and we have to understand that in a different method.
We need
with
a
a
time
different
machine. We need a time machine to go back in time to watch the process happen. Then again, we'll probably contaminate the time stream. So
Something that I think Dak was trying to express there. If you go back and you looked at the development of life from abiogenesis, you would not be able to put your pen on a point and say, "Oh, it turns into life here."
Yes,
there's really no way. And what these life forms were very, very different than what we're
talking
about now.
That's one point I try to just drive home, is that there is not a defined line. We can say, well, on this side there's no life, and on this side it's life. It's very much a gradient.
I mean,
we start with things that aren't like life, but they get more complex. The processes and the reactions that they can engage with or produce or catalyze get more complex, they get more ordered, they get more stable, and we slowly get things that start to have some level of start to have some systematic replicatory processes involved with them. It's starting to look more like life. We evolve to a point where some things we might consider life, some things we don't, and it's very much a gradient process.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch this documentary, but I found, what was it, The Origin of Life? It's like a 45-minute thing where they showed that the relationship between minerals and life depends on minerals,
Yes.
rocks, basically, because rocks are made out of minerals, but you get the point. There seems to be
Well, you know what,
intrinsic-
Midnight? I just can't believe that you would think that life came from rocks.
Fuck you. God damn it. That fucking straw man gets me every time.
So Danny's going to
really
disappear. If we talk
What?
about science for another 25 seconds, Danny is going to vaporize.
I'm just gonna be quiet. I'll just be quiet. But
Well, I would, from Danny, be curious to hear how he would consider the philosophical implications on both sides of the aisle of abiogenesis, both from a natural perspective and what if it does arise naturally, philosophical implications, and then if it arises through some intelligent agent, whatever that intelligent agent may be, natural or non-natural, what the implications of that would be. Because I do think that is important. I really do.
There is something somewhat interesting about abiogenesis. Well, there's something to think about, but to me, abiogenesis is no different than what explains the height of Mount Everest, right? Mount Everest has a precise constitution, a precise height, right? And it's not like they're laws of mountains in the sense that, like, there could have been a different world in which there is no Mount Everest, or there's no mountain with that kind of height on Earth. So the idea is that there's not going to be. I just take abiogenesis to be what we call, I think what philosophers of science say, accidents, right? It's an accident. It's not like there's going to be some kind of like unified theory of bringing about life, right? There's going to be certain conditions in which brings out life, similar to how there's certain conditions for bringing out Mount Everest, right? And that's how I see the issue.
Okay, yeah, I can agree. I agree with everything you just said. I think that's a pretty good way to summarize that.
I think the illustration I have up, the orange yellow thing, is just a really simple way to say that. So anyway,
I did want to say, and I know that not a lot of people like these two individuals. That's not relevant to this discussion. It's the point that was being made. Steve McRae and Cheshire had a discussion with somebody, and they talk. I think he used to be a creationist. They actually, Dapper Dino, I think, was there. They ended up was Jackson Wheat there too? I can't remember. They ended up convincing him out of it. He's no longer a young Earth creationist.
Wow.
And for over like 10-15 minutes of having this discussion, Cheshire was going through and picking colors, starting with yellow, and then going to orange, and then going to red.
Do you mean
and then
Wayne?
into purple? And the whole time they're having this discussion, she's going through the colors. And then she asked the one guy, she said, so look at the yellow and the red here. Which one of the circles that I made? Because she would like do a circle, just ever so slightly change the hue, do another circle, and so on and so forth until you got the transition from yellow to red. I actually think this is more to like indicate, transitional fossils, transitional species, what have you. And she said, can you point which one of these circles is the one transition that takes you from yellow to orange? And the guy was like, well, it's not just one of them. Essentially the guy was saying, well, it's a gradient process. And Cheshire was like, well, that's the point. You can't point to any one of these circles and say that's
right.
where it goes from yellow to red. It's a gradient. You can't do a calculus, so to speak, and narrow it down to what the change is at one point. You have to consider what that changes over some period of time, or what the change is with respect to a large consideration of another variable rather than some point.
Yeah.
So Lena wants to weigh in here. A purely naturalistic explanation, which is what you use every day of your life, Lena. So why not assume that? So
Yeah. Regarding what you said, yeah, it's true that some people don't really like Steve and Shesh, but what you said, they're obviously right about that. You know what I mean? I feel people focus more on the people than what's being said. And I know,
Exactly.
and I know I do that also, Danny. It's just, I don't know. There's just something that's.
I don't know what people's beef is, and I know a lot of you are facetious, but I do like Danny. I think he's a good addition, and I have to be honest, he's made me look deeper into some philosophical aspects of things. I've always had an appreciation for philosophy, but at the same time, honestly, if I'm being really genuine, I didn't have as solid a consideration of certain philosophical principles or ideals until he came along and kind of, I don't want to say beat those into me, but kind of put me in a position where I was required to consider those in the arguments that I was making, and I think that that is a good thing. I think that philosophy is a lot more important than a lot of people, especially your internet atheists, tend to believe. I really do.
Yeah, yeah. To add to sorry. To add to that, everyone here knows that science used to be called natural philosophy, right?
Yes, exactly.
no,
Yeah,
I've
and
learned a
that's
hell of a lot
I'm
from
blushing.
Danny.
I'm blushing. But yeah,
okay. Cool.
I took the same thing happened to me, Leo, with when I got on Discord and talking to people. I got not that this happened to anyone here, but like getting read, at least exposed to like. I'm just gonna say it. I got
You got
destroyed.
Phil pilled. You got Phil
I
pilled,
got
didn't you?
absolutely. I got here and I got utterly destroyed by all of these people on Discord. I was humiliated. I was I argue. I mean, it was difficult, and I struggled, and I came out. I think at least a little bit informed about the field, and I don't know. Not to say that this has happened here, but like it's just weird because I bring a set of perspectives that are not usually around. Now Lena wanted to. I wonder what can you. What does she put? Is I know that what Danny is going to say. ABIO best explains available data according to the inference to the best explanation. If we presuppose a pure naturalistic
I
explanation,
don't think
look.
he's. Yeah, that's not right, is it?
Well look. Here's the thing. If some why don't people think that Mount Everest is designed?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
mean, why?
I don't.
Hold on. I just want to draw the analogy here. Why Mount Everest is like 29,000 feet high? What? That's such. It could have been any height. It could have been. There's an infinite amount of numbers. It could have been 14 feet. Why is it specifically this height? Why does it have specifically this mass? Why is it in specifically this location? Why is it specifically this shape? We could do the same thing. I mean, if you could see the analogy there, that's essentially the whole abiogenesis argument for or rather the irreducible complexity argument is why this, why that, why are all these characteristics the one that this thing
Plate
has
tectonics.
versus other characteristics,
Yeah,
and they fail to see that there are processes that give rise to those, and some quantity is going to be held, and it just stochastically these are the processes that are the quantities that we observe.
Yeah. I will say something. I said something like this when I first got in here with. I think I was talking with Leo. That I don't understand the notion of an undesigned thing on theism, right? Like, what is it that they're comparing it to? Because they're going to think that the pebbles right next to the animal or the dirt is designed just as well. That was one thing, but I went a level with the creationist, right? I think because I was that way, right? I was that way, and I'm telling you that when I saw the DNA and all the cell stuff, I felt like I was looking at a car. I felt like
Yes.
that, right?
I used to
And
make irreducible complexity arguments myself
I,
when I was a theist.
and if someone says, "Look, I have no qualms against this," what I'm about to say, I have no qualms with someone saying, "Look, I looked into a cell and I just came to believe that there was a designer." That is, I don't see there's anything wrong. Now, if you're saying that other people should be committed to the same thing, that's where you're going to have to present something more, right? I don't blame
mean,
you. I don't blame people that look at stuff and say, "I think this is intentionally designed," but that's not an argument. They're just talking about their psychology, right? Like I just can't help but when I look at these things, they have analogs like cars, and I associate that with intentions, and I can't help but associate these things with intentionality. And I just don't see a problem. There's no logical issue, but in itself, right? So they're not like a logical fool. they could just be misinformed about the world. That's like thinking that you thought water was H3O or something like that. It's nothing like you didn't make that poor inference, right? But I don't really, and not to even say, I don't even think it is an inference, right? I don't really think it is an inference. But yeah, I just don't. I think that in terms of the argument that everyone else should be committed to that I don't think that argument works. That's my view.
Really quickly, I do want to kind of touch on that just for a second here, with a literal illustration that demonstrates.
Did you
I
see
think
the exchange with
point home.
Kafai, by the way, with putting the wiki where they say, "Oh, we don't know a lot about it" or something, and then he said it links to a paper from 2020, and
Yeah,
basically,
Cafe, you converted me. Abiogenesis doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm obviously being facetious.
I am sharing my screen. If everybody could look at this, this is the single most. This is the most advanced photo of a cell, an
It's a little
image of
more
a cell
honest.
we've ever received. You look at this.
Wait, this is a
and you
real
see-
photo?
Yes. Well,
Is it
in
real?
a
No,
sense,
it
yes.
can't be.
It's like X-rays and electron microscopy and like a whole bunch of different ways we can image a cell overlapped onto one another. And this
It's so
is the
fucking
image that we get.
confusing. Like, what the
Wait,
fuck
can you
is
put
going
that
on?
can you attach that in some form or another,
Yeah,
like maybe in the
yes.
private chat?
Yes, I can. But you look at this and you see the geometric shapes. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse or not. But
Yeah, the geometric shapes,
with
the
this right
fucking
here and
hexagon,
here
the
and-
not hexagon,
that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pentagonal structure.
yeah, pentagonal.
And you would say this is so complex and beautiful. It had to have been designed. But when you really look at this, you begin to see that this is really, really
It's a mess.
complex.
Well, if I can-
it's an
it
absolute
is.
mess.
It is a
And
mess, and it's Speed
how-
likes to.
Go ahead.
No, I just like it is a mess, and as Speed used to say, if God is a designer, he's a shitty designer because that's all spaghetti code.
Spaghetti
Yeah.
monster.
What intelligence would make something? I mean, each and every little different colored thing you see in this picture is a different chemical with potentially, and I want to underline that word, potentially a different function.
Well,
Who would make something this complex?
Eccentric
And
and eccentric genius.
yeah, that's like what I'm saying, right? It's like
Yeah.
if there is a designer, right? I'm gonna use an example from programming, right? Like the programmer could have programmed a simulation, but he didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen, right? He just let the simulation run, and he got life. He's like, oh shit, what happened? You know what I mean? Like it's like I forget the guy's name, but the game of life, right? Simple rules give life, give emergence to complexity.
Mm-hmm.
The game
Yeah,
of
I'm
life.
not saying y'all are wrong, but I mean,
No, hold on. I'm not saying you're wrong, but you're wrong. It's aliens.
no. I'm saying. I mean, I understand. Like for me, problems with design, like bad designer arguments, are gonna reduce down to problem of evil arguments. So like stuff like you know how the bat, a certain kind of species of bat's phallus will like literally penetrate the female in a like bloody way to like impregnate them. Stuff like or like the wasp that lays eggs inside some worm or I forgot something like that. Like there's some pretty horrific things in nature. I think that will boil down to problem of evil stuff. But I've never really understood the this could have been designed better for what exactly? I guess I would ask.
Well, and
I
see, that's
mean-
the thing is that we have to work from ideas of what like fitness and survivability and everything. So, like, what this comes down to is,
Oh shit!
what did you do?
He played too many copyrighted videos, probably.
I just
Basically-
played that one video and they fucking nailed it. So
Yeah,
God
you
damn
were,
it.
you were playing that video pretty hard.
yeah,
You know what I
I
mean? You
did,
didn't
yeah.
you didn't stop it and comment on it.
Well, what assholes? I mean, Jesus Christ! I linked the
we're
video.
still
I mean,
we're still live, so I don't know what the fuck.
Just connect it to another YouTube stream and give people send the link in this chat, the chat that we have.
Yeah,
set
but
up.
but the whole point of the stream was to clear the air and to to have it up. Like if the stream is gone,
Okay,
then
so should I start a new stream and we'll start it up again? Or
So
you
who
guys-
do we blame for that? Leo, right?
Me.
no, we blame Speed.
Me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about playing that video that hard, but I had the sound off, so I thought maybe I'd get away with it.
But like Leo, to what you were saying is, imagine an alien race, right? Or it doesn't have to be an alien race, but imagine if we designed solar panels like trees in a way where there were like in a world where there are no trees, and then we went to some other world and we saw organic trees. People are going to make design inferences, right? Because they're going to be like, that's just like what we build with our solar panels, right? It has the photosynthesis, and it captures light energy, converts it to potential energy. It's just like battery, like they're going to make the same kinds of inferences. But because I think part of it, this is a psychological explanation, but part of it is that in terms of when we invent things that that are similar to nature, if we invent them before we discover some analog in nature, something similar in function, then people are going to make design inferences. But if it's the reverse, they're less likely to make the design inferences.
So they said the stream is back. It's back up. It's back up. So they said the stream is back. Oh shit! Come on, stop it. Okay, the stream is back.
Well, see, you stopped playing the video.
What the fuck? Who knows?
Did that give you a heart attack, stream?
Yes.
No, I don't have heart attacks. I have lung cancers.
Seriously?
No, not
Okay,
yet.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
Thanks for the scare, asshole.
I've already had 2 really good scares. Once my doctor called me at like 9 o'clock at night and says, "We got to talk." He says, "You got to come in tomorrow right away. I spotted something on your lung." I spent 2 weeks basically categorizing. Okay, this is back when I had VHS recordings and I had like 200 movies I wanted to watch. And so I like sorted them, because I thought, okay, I'll have 6 months. I'm only going to be able to watch this many movies. And then I go in, and it's a fucking calcium spot. Yeah.
Sorry.
I wasn't dying. He wanted me to die so bad, my doctor.
Wait, Jerry, why are you at midnight? I'm so confused.
Okay, so we're back. So I'm going to have to cut that part of the... I wonder if they'll automatically cut that part of the stream. Jesus Christ. I mean, what kind of an asshole does that with your video, right? That makes it...
Well, YouTube is gay.
And was it the content creator that did it, or was it YouTube that did it? I don't know. But no, we've looked at other videos and we played them.
Yeah, but no, see, you I've actually paid attention. You actually had that video playing for a while without stopping it and commenting.
Yeah. Is that it? Is that the secret, or is that the fact that this site is copyrighted?
Everything is copyrighted.
They didn't have a copyright warning at the beginning of it. And good videos do. I mean, people that really want to protect their fucking content can put whatever copyright they want and explain fair use. I'm going to send them a snarky message. What do you think? Nope, they don't allow comments even.
What were you playing of it from? Seeker? Was that a Seeker video?
Seeker, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a Discovery Channel.
Oh, shit. Them assholes. I
Wait,
mean,
they rebranded?
I mean, I paid it. Christ.
No, that's who owns it.
Oh.
I'm canceling my subscription. Fuck them. I ain't gonna give them any more money. They have shit content anyway. Usually, their YouTube stuff is better, but I don't know.
Okay, what happened? What happened to the History Channel actually having history rather than?
Oh my God, isn't that horrible?
What happened to it is people like explosions.
Yeah, and they like trucker or like ice road trucker.
So let me get this straight. Michael Bay got his hands on History Channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking Michael Bay.
Everything goes to shit when you start doing it with ratings. Yeah, it's like my somebody pointed out that my views go up when we have a shitstorm fight, and they go down when we're talking about science. And well, what are we gonna do? We're gonna keep both. We're gonna have shitstorm science on this channel.
I think you should get rid of me. I had nothing to the channel.
Should I?
I don't know. I'm just fucking with you.
Well,
Well, he's our local memester. We need him.
I got rid of him.
Love you too, buddy.
Well, you're my buddy. You asked me to do something. I'm going to do it for you, dude. You know? Hell, I don't know. I think I want to go watch some mindless TV.
And I'm probably going to read, not a mindless book though,
Mindless book.
or finish finish off the last episode of Data Live.
Yeah. I really wanted that cell stuff to be on here, the pictures of it, because I think it really makes a point about, the complexity of what's really happening. Like I read this thing that way, if you were to look into the cell, if you have a protein, within that radius of that protein, there's going to be another protein. So it's not like there's water, and shit floating around and working like machines. There's all of this stuff flying around it looks more like a pudding with just studded full with, raisins, and they're all slamming into each other really fast. And it's very, very interesting when you actually consider what's really there. And then you think, holy fuck, if that's what's happening, how am I alive?
I mean, that's what I wonder about myself. That's what I wonder in general about life. Okay, the body does amazing fucking things, but it sucks at it at times.
Does anybody play League of Legends?
No.
I punch nerds that play League of Legends.
Okay, so I'm in a room with a bunch of losers. Okay, I'll see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
I'm just kidding. I'm not losers. I gotta go though.
There's nothing about a copyright strike on this yet, so I'm sure it'll be there by morning. I'll have to go edit it out.
No, it said policy violation.
Yeah, what the fuck? Was it because Danny? You know what? I just want to raise this issue. When women philosophers use an example of evil, do they use rape as often as men do?
Who knows?
Yeah, I'd like to know.
I mean, if you're trying to psychoanalyze, like, I don't know.
I mean, why is that the first thing we think of in the other shit? I mean, just the like.
Well, hold on. You know what? I'm actually glad you raised this
point. How about murder?
Well, no, hold on. I'm actually glad you raised this point. Okay? Because to answer your question, because it is one, like one of the most emotional and most fucked up things that that you can do to another person. It's the
worst thing you can do to another person is axe murder them.
I mean, can I talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Rape is the worst thing you can do to a person because because they survive, they go through psychological and and emotional trauma for their whole lives. If you kill somebody, they're dead. I'm glad you brought this point up because I've actually mentioned this to Skylar before. Every time he has debates with the Calvinists or whatever, he always goes to the baby killing and raping, which are like, dude, choose something else, please. Like, Jesus Christ.
I think you're underestimating what I'm capable of in a dark room.
Yeah, see, there you go.
I don't know, so let's use axe murder from now on. I'm tired of hearing about fucking horrible sex acts on other people. I'm just sick of it.
But what if you have a fetish for like axe murdering? Is that okay?
Actually, I do. It's kind of I didn't want to tell you this, guy. Are we live?
Yes.
Oh shit.
You know what? That's a good question. If you're like sexually attracted to axe murdering, does that also make it rape when you do it to someone?
I mean,
so. Yeah, definitely. Fuck
well,
yeah.
Well, no. Let's not water down the definition of rape, please.
I think the most intimately atrocious thing you can do to another person is to stab them, not shoot them, but stab them.
You said the most intimately what thing you can do to a person?
Atrocious.
Is stab them?
Stab them, yes.
No,
that is just so much more visceral.
Definitely rape them to death.
I mean,
or just rape them in general.
But you're a man. How the fuck do you know? How
I
the
mean,
fuck
men
do you
get
know?
raped too, you know.
Yeah,
Why?
anal
Yeah.
sex doesn't count.
Yeah, because I'm a man.
In some countries that don't count doesn't count. Yes, for that's a whole
That
other
sounds
topic.
like turf shit.
I don't know. Anyway, can we just like not do it here?
Where the
Okay.
fuck
I mean,
did everybody
okay,
go?
hold on. Okay. You know what? Out of respect for you, we'll not bring that up again.
Thank you.
Okay, can I just one more time, just and then I'll stop for forever.
Yeah.
Isn't stabbing just really slow shooting, and isn't raping just really slow stabbing?
Kind of. Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus
makes
Christ, Serb. Only your mind.
Yeah, only your mind. But yeah. Anyway. Fuck it all. I'm ready to go away. What about you guys?
No, I'm sitting here painting. I don't care.
Oh,
Okay.
hold on. You're like painting. Like, what are you painting?
A painting. I'm painting a painting.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So you're painting, not not like paint.
Finish. I'm
Are
sorry.
you painting by numbers?
No.
Digital painting. Digital painting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Never mind. Yeah.
So you could do what Nathan does and put it on screen so we can all see it, so we can see what you're
If we go off air, I will show it to you. It's
Okay.
intended to be a gift for someone's, and I'm going to give it to them, print it off, and give it to them.
Okay.
Read it.
Okay, we're going on Dad, guys. We're gonna shoot this thing in the head. Anyone have anything they want to plug or say?
I love you all.
Yep.
Within
Me
the
too.
next couple of weeks, hopefully, I got to get hold of my buddy, help me learn iMovie. But I'm planning on releasing an edited video series called Raw Refutations, where I address claims, arguments made by a lot of theists, even some by atheists, and, well, refute them. And it's going to be the first edited series that I do. I don't know. Hopefully I can get the first episode released in the next couple of weeks. It just depends on when I can get a hold of my buddy, because he knows how to use iMovie and I don't. I can't imagine it's all that hard. And
easy.
as always, people, science may not have all the answers, but religion has none of them.
Okay. Goodbye, cruel world.